Hey there friends and folks, today I'm going to walk you through a simple wire wrapped link, which honestly is the same technique as creating a wire wrapped loop, but instead of using a head pin to create one loop, you use a longer segment of wire and create two. With this technique you can create wire connections between different points while incorporating beads. This technique is so simple and easy to jazz up for minimal yet unique pieces, but I'll be doing separate videos going into all that fun stuff. For this technique, you will need your chain nose pliers, round nose pliers, wire cutters, and of course your segment of wire and your desired bead. Now the gauge of wire you will use will greatly depend on what size bead you're using. Standard uses of this technique utilize somewhere in the range of 22 to 26 gauge wire, but if you're doing a statement piece that requires larger wire or working with teeny tiny gemstones that require smaller wire, it's the same technique, just with a heavier or lighter hand. Today I'll be using this 22 gauge wire with the Swarovski crystal. When I'm creating a wire wrapped link, my standard is I like to have at least 1 inch, if not 1.5 inches, of wire on each side of the bead. So I'm going to cut my wire segment about 3.5 inches, which is more than I need, but especially for demonstration purposes, I want to have a little extra on both ends. So I'm going to center my bead on this wire segment just to visualize where I'm going to create my loops. And I'll start on one side. I'm starting on my right side because that is my dominant hand, and I'm going to create that 90-degree bend just millimeters away from the edge of the bead. This is going to be the start of my first loop. I'm going to slide my bead off and use my round nose pliers to create a loop. You'll want to be sure that the tail of your loop intersects the 90-degree bend that you created. Now we're going to wrap this tail around the base wire. Use your round nose pliers to hold the loop as close to the base as possible, and take your chain nose pliers and start wrapping. You'll want to wrap 1 to 3 times depending on your personal preference and the situation you're in. You'll either run out of wire after a couple of wraps, but if you still have excess, as I usually do, you can go ahead and trim that off, and we'll tuck the tail in as flush as we can get it. And now we have your first loop. Now that we have that first loop, we can thread our bead back on and situate it snug against that coil. And now we're essentially just going to repeat the steps we just did, but with the opposite end. Create your 90-degree bend a few millimeters above your bead, create your loop, link your link, and wrap your tail. And there you have it. You've created your wire-wrapped link. You can spice this up in a lot of simple ways, like adding more than one bead to your link, playing with the size of your links, or even creating a beaded chain. But all of that is for another video. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Please let me know if you have any questions down below and I'll do my best to answer them. Till next time, take care and bead well.